And we say happy Sunday, happy Mother's Day to all the moms out there. What's going on, everybody? Christian Ballard, Ballard Sports Media, coming at you on a Sunday night like I normally do. A little bit earlier this time. We try to get it going here around 10 o'clock Eastern. I know I'm 10 minutes early, but I figured why not go ahead and try to get the show started. And we want to look at conference predictions for the 2023 college football season. And, you know, we got this is from college football on college football HQ on fannation.com. It's so weird how my computer is set up. So I use Google Chrome, but like the search engine and everything, if you go to news and articles, it's through Microsoft Start. Kind of weird, msn.com. But this is from a page, College Football HQ on Fan Nation. So we, oh God, it's okay. It's gonna be fun. Sorry about that. Uh, we take a look at this. This is from Friday, this past Friday on May 12th, 2023. Story by James Parks. So we're gonna add this to the stream here, and we're actually gonna pull it up and take a look at it. College football predictions, ACC. This is for the ACC. Win totals, picks, bets for the 2023 season. Um, so let's just kind of cut to the chase here, because I do think the ACC could be a dark horse conference this year, meaning if it's North Carolina or Clemson or whoever you want to look at that comes out of it. Let's say if they have 11 or 10 wins, particularly 11 wins, and they only have one to no losses. Does Clemson get back in the college football playoff, or does a team like North Carolina, if they do the same, do they make a college football playoff debut? I think it's possible, but I still, again, it's a long way off to the season, and there's a lot that could happen between now and then. We get started here with the Pittsburgh Panthers at 6.5 wins. They lost uh, Israel Abanaconda, uh, who left as a running back. Um, they also bring in from Boston College Phil Jurkovec at quarterback. So that's what they have to say on Pittsburgh. They have them at 6.5 wins for the season, and they say pick the over. Again, I haven't looked at Pittsburgh for my team previews yet, but I would assume Pittsburgh could be okay. I think they barely get over the 6.5 mark, probably at 7 wins. But again, haven't looked at their schedule, so really hard to tell. I think Pitt is one of those middle tier teams. But I think with losses of like Keon Slovis or whoever, um, is it going to hurt? They lost Kalijah Cansey off the defense, who my Buccaneers picked up. They lost Dennis. I can't pronounce his first name. It's kind of weird, but they lost him to my Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They lost a couple guys to some teams in the draft. So they're a team that seems like maybe they take a step back. Is that the case? I think so. I think maybe, um, maybe they do. Maybe they don't. Up next is Virginia at 3.5 wins. They say pick the over. Give me 1 second. Let me do something real quick. All right, sorry about that. Looks like we got somebody in the comments here. What's up, Ben Adams? How you doing? It's good to see you. Call-in show. Let me go ahead and drop the StreamYard link. If anyone wants to call in tonight, feel free to. I know it's Mother's Day. I know everyone's probably hanging out with their mom, their dad, their family, grandmas, and aunts. But again, looking back here, getting back on track, college football predictions for conferences, ACC. Virginia at 3.5 wins. I'm not sold on Tony Elliott as a head coach. I thought he was a phenomenal offensive coordinator at Clemson. I just don't think he's a phenomenal head coach. I think he should stick to being a coordinator. They got to replace Brennan Armstrong. They have Anthony Calandria, the quarterback, coming in. They say take the over at 3.5. I probably would too. I think that there probably could be some culture realignment there at Virginia. Maybe they could take a step up. Wake Forest. Wake Forest is a good team. Made the ACC title a couple years ago, if I'm not mistaken. I think in the 2020 season, or was it 2021? I think actually. I'm sorry, because I think Clemson had beat Notre Dame. Remember, Notre Dame joined the ACC in 2020. But Wake Forest is on this list. Mitch Griffiths has the potential to step in for the departing Sam Hartman, who's at Notre Dame now, especially with the tools that Wake has at receiver. But the defensive side of the ball is still a huge question, especially on third down. The college football HQ pick is over 5.5 wins. I think a team like Wake can make some noise this year. I know they lost their quarterback, but again, it mentions Mitch Griffiths, who they say has potential, has looked good this spring. I've actually heard a little bit about Wake Forest this year, and a lot of great noise going on in that part of North Carolina. And, so we'll have to wait and see what it looks like. And just, hopefully Wake could get over the hump a little bit, get some extra wins. Do they compete for the division? We'll see. Actually, I apologize. I should say the conference, because the ACC has gotten rid of divisions. They've done away with it. So, but Wake Forest at 5.5, I would take the over, especially if they do go bowling and make a bowl game. Miami up next. The U wants to get what it can from Tyler Van Dyke, but he's working behind a line that's been dealing with injuries this offseason. That offensive line is banged up. It's not healthy. There's not a whole lot of depth on that side for Miami either. They put them at 7.5 wins. The pick is under 7.5 wins. So I don't know. Miami's tough for me to figure out. I think I had them at 7 wins. So, but either way it goes, they're going to be a difficult team. You're going to have to battle through some stuff. And I don't think it's make or break for Manny Diaz. He just got hired. I think in 2024 it might be make or break, but certainly it shouldn't be, do or die time for Manny Diaz. So, but Miami could be a good team. They could be a surprise team. They could, surprise us in different ways. But again, they have them here at 7.5, and they're saying to take the under for Miami. Speaking of Miami, I see Traveling Fools in here. What's going on, man? Call-in show. We'll drop the StreamYard link. If y'all want to be part of it, come on in. We'll take them one at a time and take them like phone calls. And up next on the list, getting back to the ACC win total. Syracuse at 6.5. Dino Babers possibly on the hot seat this season is what they're saying. They did get a new offensive coordinator in Jason Beck, who was the quarterback's coach. And Garrett Strader is rehabbing from shoulder injury. He's the quarterback. He's still trying to battle an injury from last season. Could he be ready to go by the season start? We will see. It's going to be hard to tell, but I like its program in Syracuse. I like Dino Babers. I just don't ever know what to expect from them. Are they up? Are they down? And they say take the over 6.5. I'm going to say for right now, I don't know. I might have them 6-6. I don't know about 7 wins for them yet. It's hard to tell. But we'll see. Duke is an interesting team. They won 9 games last year with a bowl. First time in almost a decade. They have to play Clemson week 1 right out the gate. I don't think they win that, but they say pick the over at 6.5. I would probably agree. I like Duke this year. 6.5 seems like they're not giving them enough credit, but take the over. By all means, take the over for Duke. Boston College. Oh, gosh. We're getting into the deep stuff in the ACC here. Boston College, 5.5 wins. They say take the under. They say this new look offense remains a concern, but the Eagles secondary looks to have some serious playmakers who can generate takeaways. That offense, losing their quarterback in Jurkovic, is going to be a key loss, and it's going to be really tough for them to overcome. You need offense in today's game. Now, I know Georgia has shown that you can still win with defense, but they've also had an offense to go alongside that with Stetson Bennett. Now, he's gone. We'll talk about Georgia another time, which kind of getting tired of the Georgia talk anyway, but I'm just, throwing that out there. But Boston College, 5.5 wins. They say take the under. That's the Football HQ pick. Up next is Virginia Tech. They say 4.5. Virginia Tech seemed like they were on an uphill trend a couple seasons ago. I don't know what's gone wrong. I don't know if it's loss of players. I don't know if it's the new coach and Brent Pry. I don't understand. But they got them at 4.5. And not only do they have them at 4.5, they say take the under 4.5. No bowl game for you. No bowl game for you. The Hokies attack left a lot to be desired in both phases, but especially running the football, an area of major concern coming into the fall, is what they say. Georgia Tech. Shout out to Sea-Dog and Rec Talk. They say 4 wins for Brennan Key. 1 game shy of making a bowl game a year ago, and the task gets a little harder this time with Ole Miss and Georgia both on the schedule. I think, is that Ole Miss game? Is that week 1? If it is, then I'll say this right out the gate. If they pull that off, they're going for a bowl game. And that should be the goal of Georgia Tech, is to get back to a bowl game, win a bowl game. Just try to make it. They say over 4 wins. I still think 4 wins is a little low, but definitely take the over there. And we go on. Let's see. Who do we have left? North Carolina, Louisville, NC State, Clemson, and Florida State. North Carolina, 8.5. Considering Florida State has stepped up in the ACC, I would say take the under, because you're going to have Clemson, but then you're going to have a couple other teams in there. And North Carolina could be Team 3, no problem. And they probably could win maybe 9 games this year and go above and beyond 8.5. But Drake May returns. The receiving corps is kind of up in the air from what this is saying and what the experts have said. I listened to like Locked On Tar Heels, and they kind of talk about the receiving core a little bit there, and I've heard some good things, I've heard some bad things. The thing is, I don't know if Tar Heel Nation has all the confidence this year in Mac Brown to go over 8.5 wins. I would probably agree to take the under. Louisville, 7.5 wins, a ton of turnover, but also some credible potential for Jeff Brom at the skill positions, including quarterback and in particular the defensive backfield, thanks to some solid incoming transfer talent. Have not looked into the transfer portal for the Cardinals yet, but they say take the over at 7.5. I'm going to have to take their word for it there. I don't know much about Louisville other than I know the Buccaneers got a player in Yaya Diaby, which is a great talent from Louisville and going to be a key loss for them there. We'll see what they can do at the edge position, but we'll see. They say take the over at 7.5. NC State, 6.5 wins. I'll cut to the chase. They say take the over. Brennan Armstrong in the portal to replace Devin Leary, who transferred to Kentucky, is very huge, very important. They say the strength of this Wolfpack team should be its defense, which impressed during spring football. And their pick, again, is over 6.5. Clemson, I'll say this. I think the defense with Peter Woods, with a lot of difference makers on the front seven, I think the defense is always solid. Even after the loss of Brent Venables, it was still a top 10, top 15 defense last year, maybe even top 5. They say over 9.5 wins. I would agree. I think it's going to be Clemson and Florida State, which Florida State's on here too. They're at 10 wins, and they say it's a push. Maybe that they stay right on the money at 10. But again, we'll see. I think that both of these teams, I think it's going to be Clemson and Florida State for the ACC title. I'll just go ahead and throw that out there. And that's pretty much it for this article here, too, by the way. I do think that Clemson is a talented team. I think they're always talented. I think they recruit at a high level. I love Dabo Swinney as a coach. They got to get back to a standard of excellence and how how they run things in college football. They got to get back to the top. I don't know if they get all the way there this year, but I do have them winning the ACC. I'm so caught up in Clemson and Florida. I say one day I got the Seminoles winning it. Then I say I got the Tigers. Then I say Seminoles. Then I say Tigers. It's so hard. But those are your two teams in the ACC. And again, Clemson's at 9.5. They say take the over. And they say it's a push at 10 wins for Florida State. You could be even right on the money there. So let's double check the chat here. What's up, Ben Adams, Joey Foster, Traveling Fools, and I'm going to try to pronounce this. Dog and Ronpa? Did I say that? I have had a good day. It's Mother's Day. I wish I could have seen my mom in person today, but I did call her, and everything's going well. Everyone's doing fine back at home in Florida, and it was a great conversation, great talking with her. Shout out to all the moms out there for what you do, and we love and appreciate you. So let me drop the StreamYard link again. Again, this is a call-in show. We'll take them one at a time. But if you want to come on here tonight, and you don't even have to talk about win totals, we don't even have to talk sports. If you just want to talk and ramble on, if you have something on your chest you just got to get rid of, let's talk about it. Let's do it. Man, we'll give it a few minutes, and if nobody shows up, we'll call it quits for the night. How's that sound? Traveling Fools in 30 minutes will be live for trivia night. I got to tune into that there. Definitely got to tune into that. What's up, P Digits? Finkel Einhorn. What's up, people? Happy Mother's Day. Good to see you, P Digits. Always great to hear from you, sir. And again, we're live on Facebook, live on YouTube. Be sure to hit that thumbs up, hit that subscribe button if you're new. If you're watching this back, we love and appreciate you for doing that. And we got a lot of great stuff coming your way. I'm working on some notes for a college football flashback. It's a surprise. I say that, but no. So I'll go ahead and give you the details. So the next college football preview, we go back to 1980 for the Georgia Bulldogs national championship. Considering they went back to back, I think it's only fair that we stick to Georgia. How about we talk about when they beat Notre Dame for the national championship with Vince Dooley as their head coach? Doug Flutie, I believe it was Doug Flutie. I hope I'm doing my research right. He was at quarterback. So that's what's going to be the next college football preview. We got a title. We got a thumbnail for it. It's going to be amazing, and I hope you enjoy it. I want to make that a summer off-season type of thing, college football flashbacks, where we review old college football games for you, the people. Hashtag 1980. That's going to be the next one. What's up, Mayhem Matthew? Mayhem Matthew checking in. Says, yo. But yeah, we haven't had any calls yet. We'll keep it going. But at any time, if you want to join the show, feel free to hit the StreamYard link and come in here. We can talk it up. You can argue. You can debate. We could get along if you want to. But yeah, just there's a lot of things I got planned and I'm trying to come up with. I say I got planned. I only got a couple things planned, but just trying to come up with some ideas for more articles and for more content ideas for you guys. Because, I mean, it's the same old stuff on this channel. Honestly, I mean, I'm trying to stick to a streaming schedule, which is good and what I should do. But then you get to the videos. I have done some walk in the parks. I've done some college football previews. I've put some stuff out about Alabama, a lot about Alabama. I want to cover more than just the Crimson Tide. Honestly, it's not just about Alabama. I wish it was as a fan, but it's not. It's more than that. I want to cover more. Get into it. So, anyway. Thoughts on rumored Big Ten, Washington, and Oregon? I've heard that for a couple years, actually. The past couple years, ever since conference realignment began, that was one of the first things was Washington and Oregon going to go to the Big Ten. They're in talks about it, I think, from what I'm hearing. I know there's rumors, but I wouldn't be surprised if it happened at this point. Anything's possible in this conference realignment. All is fair game, and I wish these teams the best of luck. I hope it works out. I don't want to see the Pac-12 dissolve because then we're Power 4 conferences, not Power 5, and it just doesn't sound right. But it is what it is. You can't change what's happening in college football. You can only suck it up and deal with it, honestly. But we'll see. Also, thoughts on TriStar projecting Bama going 9-3. I get it, but here's the thing about Alabama is I understand you watched the spring game. I understand you watched spring practice and you followed up and they don't have a quarterback. And it's funny that they had to go to the portal to get a backup from Notre Dame to come in and lead this offense. I get all of that. I'm with you. But Nick Saban won a national title. Let's not forget with Mac Jones, 13 and 0. Mac Jones couldn't hit the broadside. Well, I don't want to rip on my guy. Okay, let me back up. He was a 3-star when he came out of high school. You're making jokes about quarterbacks. Make jokes about Mac Jones. What about Jacob Coker in 2015? That team wasn't supposed to make the playoffs. They were doubted all year. They just got better and kept working. Texas, LSU, Auburn, maybe those are 3 losses. It could happen, but it also might not happen. I think that anything is possible. I think y'all are just feeding Nick Saban and Alabama a bunch of good rat poison, and they're going to use it as fuel to make a run. So be careful what you wish for. Be careful what you talk about. I think Alabama's coming in 2023. Auburn's not going 10. God. I think I had Auburn 7-5 for Hugh Freeze in his first year. They're not winning 10 games this year. Come on. TriStar's crazy. Love them to death. I love all you guys. Those comments are ridiculous. There will only be 3 conferences when the dust settles. Either the Pac or most likely Big 12 will be the third conference. ACC has an expiration date. I don't know. I think Clemson, Miami, I think teams like that are holding the ACC together. And I see you back there, Nate. I don't know. I think there's some certain teams that are holding the ACC together. I'm not hearing many talks about teams leaving that conference. So I don't know where you're getting this, that they'll be the next one to go and they're going to fall apart. We bring on Nate to get us started with calls tonight. What's up, buddy?
What's up, Ballard? I want to talk some. I'm not a Georgia fan, but some Georgia fans think that. They might. I was going to say they might. The topic is if Georgia is going to get Dylan Viola. So, they might get him, but if I were a Georgia fan, I would not want to get him mostly because Kirby Smart hasn't, shown that he has. I won't say respect, but like, what's the right word to say it? I don't know. Earn a spot. I don't know. I don't know. But the point is, I just don't trust Kirby. If I were a Jordan fan, because he's a defensive minded coach, and I I get it. They want a elite quarterback, but why are you wasting all those elite quarterbacks that you have in like past years classes, like recruiting class, and like I get it, but you have to think at the same time, if you're like a 24, like number 1 recruit, if I were him, but I'm not him though. If I were him, I'd probably go to a school that cares that wants me to be the starter right away. That's
So I think I get where you're coming from with this. Kirby Smart is an elite head coach, and
yeah,
he
I
just
agree.
went back to back with Georgia.
I agree.
But I get what you're saying. He has not done it. He did it with a walk-on quarterback, and
Right.
he's had these 5 stars sitting on the bench, and it almost seems like he doesn't know what he's doing at that quarterback position. But I would argue that and say he probably does know what he's doing because he just put up 65 points. Say whatever you want about TCU's defense.
Yeah.
Garbage, they're not good.
Yeah.
Say whatever you want to. 65 points is 65 points in a championship game.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Stetson Bennett was able to do. Stetson Bennett was a walk-on. This guy was out of high school. He gets offered from Georgia. He almost transferred from Georgia and then he transfers back. His story is incredible. Kirby
Mhm.
Smart to use a product like Stetson Bennett was incredible.
Mhm.
So I would say if he can do it with Stetson Bennett, I think at this point in his career, he probably could do it with Carson Beck this year, and
Yeah.
then maybe in a couple years, what if it is Dylan Raiola? I get what you're saying, and I understand, but I really think that Kirby Smart at this point has figured it out and has gotten it under control. And
Right.
I don't know. I think we're just going to have to see what the next couple years what Mike Bobo at offensive coordinator looks
Yeah.
like
Yeah. I
what
agree.
offensively.
But and don't count Nebraska because Dylan Old's uncle, and I think is the offensive lineman coach for Nebraska. I think, and don't count Nebraska because they're not far off of the list for the recruiting one. So, I mean, he has Nebraska in his top 3 or 4 or something like that with USC and Georgia. It'd be actually uh, awesome to see Nebraska him with Nebraska. Oh, now I get what you're saying that Georgia is back to back in national championships, but he probably wants that more. But I wouldn't. I would actually like Dylan Loyola. I know it's not just a QB team, just a QB is part. QB is part of team, but it's a team play sport, not just one position. But
Right.
and I would be excited if he somehow commits to Nebraska, but you know anything can happen. But that'd be a big step up for Nebraska if that happens. But yeah, and also one more topic, if you don't mind. I think it. Do you disagree or agree? In my opinion, I'm still a Michigan fan for life, but it's not just Jim Harbaugh's fault, but it's just is it make or break this year for the college football playoff if they go into the college football playoff? Because I'm tired of Michigan losing the semifinals. I don't want them to go down to Oklahoma road. I do not, because
Yeah. So I mean, I kind of said that in my Michigan preview. I said that they have to watch out for Ohio State and Penn State in the
right, I
East.
agree.
I think it's not too much that they can overcome those teams,
Right,
win the Big Ten. Like Jim Harbaugh did what he did this year. He did it in 2021. So he's done everything twice, 2 years in a row. What he hasn't done is win a college. We know he can make the college football playoff this year.
yeah,
We want to see him win. You don't have to win a title, but you
no,
don't have
just
to
one
win a
game.
title yet. We don't have to win a title yet if we're Michigan, but you do have to win a college football playoff game and get to a title. I think it's make or break. Now, I don't think it's going to determine like if he's on the hot seat or
No, not
if he's
like that.
fired. No. But you have to think that his time for a national title is probably slipping away.
That is true. And well, thank goodness that the year after this year or this upcoming year, it won't be like the 4 teams, which is kind of good news if Michigan, still beats Michigan, beat Michigan as their team right now. But you have to win a playoff game or playoff home game, in example, or for like I mean, I don't want to be like memed, not just me, but like Michigan fans or Michigan in general to be memed like Oklahoma did, or was that they can't win a playoff game with Lincoln Riley. But good thing Jim Harbaugh is no Lincoln Riley because he doesn't know defense. Lincoln Riley doesn't.
Oh, he definitely knows defense. I don't know. I just don't know what the issue is because he's got the quarterback. He's got an elite running back. I think even coming back, um, in like Blake Corum or whoever, right? So he,
Oh,
he's he's he basically has the pieces to
right,
win a national title. He just has to get it together in the game situation
right.
when he hits the college football playoff if he makes it this year.
Yeah, that like I think in my view, I think in my vision, in my view of the playoff games, and when let's say if they do go to the playoff game this year, which is I highly think they will, but let's just say they're getting ready to practice and stuff. Look, in 2021, there was a film or a video of the whole team on the beach doing whatever they were doing, but they were not practicing. I can tell you that for sure. Now, I think that's the issue. I don't care if where you're at, not you, but like Michigan coaches or whatever, you got to get these kids to focus on the game, not like, oh, we're gonna be on vacation or no, this is like a business trip. You gotta make those kids focus on the game. Like, I think that's the issue, in my opinion, or my view. But who knows? Uh, I just think that's the problem for Michigan, like preparation. But I think that's the only issue for them. Not the only issue, but like the issue for them to they are in a college football playoff. The preparation is the key weakness, I think. But what do you think
Yeah.
about that? You think you agree, or I mean,
Well, I mean, they looked like they were prepared against TCU, not for the offense, but I mean, it's not like they got blown out. Remember these playoff games we just saw
yeah,
last season came down to the
yeah,
wire. So, I mean, he knows. I think he just needs to work on close game situations, and when the pressure's on,
exactly, yeah,
don't let it get to you. That's what
right,
I think he needs to work on.
yeah. But I agree with you, and maybe it's just you know I hate to say it, but I think TCU just wanted it more. To be honest, that last playoff game. But hey, uh, I'll wait till next year.
This is
But
our year. This is our year.
no, I don't say that. The Ohio State fans say that. I don't. I just,
Right.
what I do? I just wait till the games start and see how it plays out. I'm not a fan of of. I'm not a fan that says, "Oh, we're gonna beat this team by 45 points." No, I'm gonna let it play out and not try to jinx them. That's my strategy of watching. So, um, but
Right.
but thank you for taking my call, Ballard, and I love your show. And uh, I think more people should pay more attention to your channel. So have a good morning.
Thanks, Nate. I appreciate it. He hit the nail on the head. More people need to pay attention to my channel. Dude, I promise you, I have upped my game. I'm not trying to brag or gloat, but man, I put some good content out lately, man, and a lot of people giving me good feedback on it, whether in person or on Facebook, and I appreciate it. I'm not trying to brag or anything, but it just is what it is. I mean, I've upped my game a little bit on here. What's up, Vic2 Productions? What's going on, buddy? Good evening. Good to see you. If anyone wants to join the show, the StreamYard link is in the chat. Appreciate Nate for being the first call tonight. And we love and appreciate Nate for coming on and joining us tonight. This is a call-in show. So we'll take them one at a time, but you can join in via StreamYard. No phone number, but if you click the StreamYard link, it'll bring you to the studio, and you can come on with your comments, questions, concerns regarding anything in life. If you want to just talk about life in general, we can do that too. So I'm good, Brandon. How you doing? LW. What's up, LW? Alabama going 5-7 from what I hear. Rumor has it they have no talent. They absolutely have talent. They just need to figure out the quarterbacks. I promise you the missing piece is the right quarterback. The defense is going to be solid. The O-line is going to be improved. The wide receivers, if they can step up and catch the ball, will be okay. Just figure out, is it Tyler Buckner? Is it Ty Simpson? Is it Jalen Milroe? Just figure out between the three of them who needs to be the quarterback. And Alabama's got themselves another national championship. Went to Branson over the last weekend, says Brandon. That's pretty cool. You want to come on and tell us about your trip? You can. What is Is it Branson, Missouri, Brandon? I think it's Branson, Missouri, is what he's talking about. I think. You know what I would like to do? Honestly, I would like to visit every SEC stadium in my lifetime. If I could at least make it to the SEC stadiums, that would be great. Maybe Jordan Hare's up next. Maybe Sanford Stadium or Dooley Field. We went Sunday, we went to the show. Monday, we did the best. Whatever that means, congratulations. Good for you. What kind of show? I need like segments for the call-in show, I think. Would y'all agree? We need like ideas for these call-in shows and like stuff to talk about. I'm running out of stuff to talk about. Georgia softball in nationals in the Athens regional. They're hosting. Look at that. How about Georgia, man? Congrats. That's awesome. Stick to football though, because you're not winning it all in softball. Alabama's got this one on lockdown. 12 of the 14 teams in the SEC made the tournament for softball. Tennessee, LSU, Auburn, Kentucky, Georgia, Ole Miss, A&M, South Carolina, Florida, Missouri, Arkansas, and Alabama. The only two left out are Vanderbilt and Mississippi State. What's up, Steve? Are we still talking softball, sir? Oh, man. We still talking softball? I didn't say Alabama had anything locked down. Again, the StreamYard link is in the chat if anyone wants to join. Feel free to. Yeah, Montana Fouts last chance at a title. She'll be in the, I don't know. Is she going to the fast pitch professional league? That would be cool. I'd watch that. I want to know where I can watch that. Professional fast pitch. But she's a legend for sure. Girls softball regional start next Friday, May 19th. Atypical Gump, long time, sir. Long time. Structure builds brilliance. No structure. Viable topic. Yields yawn. I don't know what that means, but thank you for showing up, sir. She's on the USA national team. She might be. I think I've seen that, Steve. Let me see. Uh, let's see. Yes. Will compete at the World Cup in Ireland this summer. She's a fifth year senior. Um, she was selected to the 2023 USA Softball's women's national team. Yes. Brandon wants to know if Houston is playing. Let me see. I don't see them listed on the bracket. Sorry, bud. It looks like they're out. We'll give it till an hour on the show. We'll give it 6 more minutes unless someone shows up. But again, I can drop the link if I need to. I know we've had some people show up in the chat. Again, it's a call-in show, so we'll take people one at a time. And if you want to be part of it, you're more than welcome to. Nobody is not welcome. How about that? So Shout out to the Bama boys, real quick. There we go. Hope to make another game this year with X-Wing and Millis. Keep in touch with them, but we'll see. I'd hope to go to Bryant Denny again someday. I just won't go by myself. I don't trust myself doing all that. But we'll see. Maybe we can make it happen. What's up, Hummus Hero? Good to see you. We got someone. Let me see. Let me turn this music off and I'll get you on. Hold on. All right, there we go. AIP, what's up?
Hey, Ballard. Sorry, did I ruin your music?
No, I only turned it on because nobody was calling in, man. I was getting kind of bored over here.
Yeah, well, I decided to join in because I was game bored too. So what's this whole thing you're talking about over here?
Oh, we're talking, I mean, a lot of college football, but I was talking a little bit about the College World Series for softball too. I don't know if you have any thoughts on that.
I don't. To be honest, I don't really care about softball or baseball that much. I definitely do care about college football, and I definitely care about the NFL too. So, that's the only. Those are the two only things in sports I care about.
Okay, I got you there.
And sometimes basketball, but mostly football. So so you know, it's crazy. I know we have a lot of talks about this, but it's kind of crazy how next year college football is going to change a whole lot next year, because next year, 2024, there's going to be, 12-team playoff, USC and UCLA moving Big Ten, and then Oklahoma, Texas moving to the SEC next year. So,
Yep. I didn't realize all three of those were in the same year, but I knew each one was coming up quick.
I know.
Yeah. Yeah,
Um,
man.
So have you been doing the wrestling talk show with TikTok Chess Hall? Have you been doing that?
Absolutely not.
Why not?
That's him and Ramajama Taylor's thing. But we hope to bring back the Unprofessional Sports Show very soon.
Yeah. Well, What I heard about Chess is that he's taking a break from streaming from his main channel. If you knew about that, because he made a video about him saying that he's taking a break from his channel. He says that he's, officially done for now, but maybe there's a chance he could come back and make videos on his main channel. But
I mean, it's up to him. I saw the video you're talking about. He posted about 5 or 6 days ago, almost last week, and yeah, I don't know, man. I'm praying for him, and I told him like
sorry,
he's got my full
Bal-
support. So
Ballard, I couldn't quite hear you first because I think you were muted or something.
can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can.
Okay, I was just saying the video you're talking about. I saw too,
No,
and
I'm just saying. No, I'm just saying. No, I'm just saying. Well, what I was saying was that I think Chess just wanted a break from doing his main channel, and I heard you were going to say your opinion about it, but
yeah,
my opinion is that he may someday come back and stream his main channel, but I think when he means that I think when TikTok Chess Hall, in my opinion, when I think TikTok Chess Hall says that he's done streaming for his main channel, in my opinion, I just think he's taking a break for now. So
yeah. No, I think I don't know. He didn't personally tell me anything. I just know what I saw in the video, and based on the title said that TikTok Chess Hall will no longer be uploaded on, and he hasn't uploaded on it, and um, but he's doing a lot of wrestling stuff, and
nice.
I told him, you know, I think maybe I did personally speak to him about it, but I hope to at least somehow keep the unprofessional sports show alive. Whether I do it on my own or if I do it with him, we'll see. But
Yeah, yeah. I definitely want you guys to keep that show going. So
yeah,
um, I mean, you know, I think I think Chess just wants to do something different right now. So
well, he wants to do wrestling, is what he wants to do.
yeah, I knew. Well, I knew that, but I think he wants to do other things too, possibly. But um, I think I think I think Chess is having fun with the wrestling talk and doing that with Ramajam Taylor. But
Yeah.
um, so um, so are you laughing about something?
No.
Oh, I thought I heard some. I thought I heard a quiet laughter, but anyways, um, um, have you watched any movies coming out recently?
Oh, in the theater?
Yeah,
Last one I saw was 80 for Brady, and it was gosh awful.
really?
Yeah. I wasn't too I mean, I think they had the right idea, but I think they went about the movie the wrong way. I thought it was kind of dumb.
Yeah. Oh, so you're telling me that you don't like that movie at all? 80 for Brady.
I won't say I don't like it at all. I just it wasn't what it was made out to be.
Yeah. There's this one sports movie I really like. It's about Kurt Warner. It came out in December of 2021, a couple years ago, and I really like that movie. Have you seen it? About
Is it American Underdog?
Yes, it is.
I've seen parts of it, but I want to sit down and watch it all the way through.
Yeah. Um. So.
But, oh, go ahead and finish up.
Oh. I was about to say, like, do you have a favorite movie or anything?
I mean, I'll tell you my genre is sports movies, but um, if I had to pick a favorite, I like the movie The Blind Side.
The the what?
The Blind Side about Michael Orr.
Oh yeah, The Blind Side. Yeah, I never heard of that. That's
Yeah.
oh, that's weird. Um. So I saw that you make your videos about walking around the park or something like that, just talking about talking about some sports stuff. I heard that. I saw that you sometimes make episode videos about you walking around the park.
I mean, I have a series called Walk in the Park where I go to the local park in Coleman and I talk about what's on my mind. So,
Yeah.
but that's pretty much it right there. I mean, so, but hey, listen, I got someone else in the back room.
All right. Anyways,
Any final words before I move on?
okay. Thanks for having me on the channel. I'll let you go now. So.
Okay. What's up? You're on with Ballard.
Hey Ballard,
Hey, Hummus Hero. What's up, man?
how you doing today or this evening?
Uh, I'm I'm chilling, man. I'm doing good.
That's good. You treat the mothers in your life good today? Your mom, grandma, any sisters, anybody? Treat them good.
Yeah,
Nice.
no siblings around here, but I called my mother and spent the day with my grandmother today. So
Oh, that's good. Yeah, I've got three sisters and they all are mothers, so it's
oh
always
wow,
trying to do something for all of them can be a bit of a chore. But anyways, so. I was gonna ask you about what do you think about all this Tyler Buckner stuff? Uh, do you think that he's going to legitimately have a chance to get this job, or do you think that it's more of just bringing in depth?
I think it's a little bit of both. I think it adds depth, even though I think because of recruiting, I don't think they need the quarterback depth. I think obviously he transferred to Alabama for a reason because he thinks he can get the job. And honestly, I think it could be his job to lose. It could also be Milrose to lose as well. But I think when you look at it, by the way, something that I haven't really mentioned on Tyler Buckner, but he has 3 years of eligibility with Alabama.
Yeah, yeah, that's
So,
true.
I mean, if it's not this year, if he has to sit on the bench for a year, which is not why he transferred, but let's say if he does, um, you know, is it really a lost cause for him?
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, everybody has that extra COVID year that was there in 2021, so
Yeah.
that's true. Um, Yeah, I don't know. I've seen a lot of people talking online that, this is a bad sign for Alabama that they needed to bring him in, but I don't really see it that way. I see it more of he's going to be familiar with the new offense they're installing, so he might actually have a leg up on the other guys. Now, I don't know if he's going to be talented enough to beat them out. Are you not high on Ty Simpson?
I'm really high on Ty Simpson. I think even though he looked a little rough and he suffered a thumb injury in the spring game too, but outside of that, man, I think he's got good talent. No
Mm-hmm.
matter what anybody else says, I know what he is coming out of high school. Coach Saban knows what he is coming out of high school, and he's just got to learn the system a little bit with what Tommy Rees wants to do this year. It could be Ty Simpson. It very well could be. Um, but we'll see. Everyone's got to earn their place on the team.
Right. Yeah, and I don't think Buckner's just going to walk in just because he's familiar with the offense that's going to be installed that he's just going to come in and get the job either. I mean, I see it as probably a three-horse race. I mean, I really do. I think that it's probably going to go right up to opening to the kickoff and then we'll see. I mean, I'd be shocked if they named a starter much sooner than a few weeks out. So, but it should be interesting to see. I just find it funny that all these people. I mean, a lot of people they're just waiting for the downfall of Alabama. You know what I mean? Like, oh,
Yeah.
Saban's getting old, and now look at this. They need hand-me-downs from Notre Dame and all this stuff. It's just it's part of what goes along with being Alabama is that you're going to have people saying all this stuff, but it doesn't actually make it reality. It's just I don't know. It's kind of humorous to me. I mean, I'm an Ohio State fan too, so we get the same kind of stuff, especially up here north, where everybody's always just waiting for you to slip.
Yeah. So how do you feel about the Buckeyes quarterback situation and especially during you got to take back the Big Ten from your rival in Michigan? Sorry to say their name, but I don't know what else to call them.
Yeah.
How do you?
I mean, I'm not sure. I mean, really, these guys are unproven. McCord played that one game, Stroud's first year in 2021. He played the Akron game when Stroud had that shoulder injury, and he looked pretty decent in that game. Now, I mean, you gotta take it with a grain of salt because it was against Akron, and I mean they were pretty terrible. So, but I mean, he looked pretty decent, and he definitely. A lot of people are really low on him because he didn't look good in the spring game. Like he didn't look particularly great. But he did have a couple of really good passes that show that he does have a really strong arm and he can be accurate. So I think that McCord's a solid player, but honestly, I think that Devin Brown probably has the better upside. He has more athleticism and potentially he could probably be the better guy going forward. I just don't know if he's going to be ready this season for it. So it'll have to be interesting. But I think that if it's close, like really close leading up to it, I think that it's going to be a struggle with the coaching staff. Do you go with the guy who has more seniority, or do you go with the guy who can maybe be better on busted plays and when things go off script? Because I think Devin Brown definitely is that guy. I mean, I'm not saying he's like a Bryce Young or a Caleb Williams, but I mean, he definitely has more probably potential to improvise. So I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see, but it's gonna be a change. I mean, you look around the landscape with some of the powers in college football, and you got Georgia is going to be starting a new quarterback. Alabama's going to be starting a new quarterback. Ohio State's going to be starting a new quarterback. So I mean, it's going to be quite different, and it'll be really interesting to see all these different guys get a chance finally. I mean, we've had Bryce Young and C.J. Stroud and Stetson Bennett for 2-3 years. So it'll be cool to see.
What if college football? This could have been great for the title, but I didn't think of it earlier. But what if college football was based on returning production, and that meant that you make the biggest run out of everybody? Would you say a team? It just kind of crossed my mind, but I mean, you look at JJ McCarthy, Blake Corum, and I mean, you look at Michigan, they probably have the best returning production of anybody out there this year, don't you think?
Yeah, I mean they probably do. And I think it's a big factor, but I think that I think there's a reason why they don't solely base it on that. And that's because while those guys were good and they did have a good amount of production, the top end of guys that are sitting on the bench sometimes at a place like Alabama or Ohio State, those guys have more potential. It's just a reality. So I mean, like you look at some of the guys like defensively, for example, that Ohio State has, and a lot of people around here are, they're upset because like we have this kid named Sonny Styles, and he's like a tremendous. His brother just transferred in too from Notre Dame, but he's just
Yeah.
a freak. He's like an Isaiah Simmons type player. Like he's like 6'4", 210, 215 pounds. And he can play safety, and he can kind of play that rover hybrid linebacker type of deal. And, he's just sitting on the bench. And I think that's what we've seen with Georgia too. I mean, like you have these guys that are ultra talented, and sometimes they're actually better than the other guys. So while Michigan might have more returning production, the point is that, are those guys going to actually be better than what some of these other teams that recruit better than them will put out there? And that's a different question. So do you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you. 100%. I mean, returning production, it's not always what wins you, the best returning team award or wins you a national championship, but it definitely helps to have returning production. If guys can stay healthy and aren't a bust the next year, I would agree with everything you just said.
Well, one thing that concerns me about the team up north there is that the way they run their offense, um, they run those running backs into the ground. And, Donovan Edwards, he's kind of a different kind of running back where he avoids contact a lot because he's more of a slasher. But, I mean, like Blake Corum got injured last year because they were just working him too much. It was that simple. I mean, I've seen it a lot, and it's why running backs have a shorter shelf life, like especially in the NFL. And if I was a running back, I mean, Michigan, I'll say their name. They just got
Yeah.
a guy out of Ohio, blue chipper from Cincinnati Moeller. His name's Jordan Marshall, and all the fan base is all excited because they beat us out in this little recruiting battle. And he's probably looking at it like they'll feature him more in their offense, because if you come into Ryan Day's offense, you're going to get some carries, sure, but it's always going to be predicated on the pass, call it finesse, whatever it might be. But if I was a recruit and I was looking at that, I wouldn't want to, knowing that there's a shelf life for a running back and you're going to take a certain amount of hits. I don't know if I would necessarily want to, because when NFL scouts, they don't always look at your stats. They're going to look at what
Right.
system you came from. Stats are more important for fans, for voting for awards and stuff like that. NFL scouts, when it comes to your draft stock, they're going to look at what you can do. So
We're in such, I mean, so take it from this perspective here. We're in a passing, would you agree, a passing style of offense in college football, right?
mhm.
So if 90% of the teams throw the ball 90% of the time, the running backs aren't getting much in the run game. Does that mean they're not good? No. It just means that they're not, being used in such a way that get some of the best numbers. But at the same time, you look at, I mean, quarterbacks, they're based off their stats. Running backs are based off talent. Wide receivers, I guess, are based on kind of both.
Hmm.
I guess I kind of lost what I was trying to make, but um, I think that it's not always about the numbers. I think that's what I was trying to get to. It's not always about the stats. It's not always about the numbers. It is based on talent. It's also, at least to my perspective, I think it should always be about character too.
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely. And I mean, eventually it will be. Sooner or later, a lot of people. Unfortunately, you see a lot of these kids, and they get themselves into trouble. So character definitely plays a factor in the life cycle of a athlete.
Yeah,
I'm not saying always. I mean, sometimes people skate by and they might have sketchy character traits all along, and they're just dodging bullets. But I think more often than not, if you continue to, and that's where culture comes into it with the football program. And I think that the ones that really last, they have a good culture. There's no getting around it. So, and I think that's something that when you see the blue bloods, that they have always done a pretty good job on, is maintaining that throughout their school's history. I mean, you see programs like SMU and stuff, like back in the what was that back in the 80s, and they got like the death penalty. I mean, they
yeah,
were riding high, and even like Miami at points, they got in trouble, and it knocks them down a peg, and that's not actually what happened recently, but I mean, it has in the past. And I'm not saying even Ohio State or Alabama or whoever, they've all had their little periods where they've, but for the most part, consistently, the culture's been good, and that comes into evaluation of character of the student athlete that you bring in, you know. And it's a kind of a scary thing with the NIL now, because everything's changing, and the priorities of the athlete, the student athlete now are I mean, like, you look at schools like Tennessee. I'm not pointing fingers, but I mean, we heard that they paid like 7 million to get that I am a Vela, or I can't say his name.
Oh, Nico.
Yeah, suppose, and I don't know if that's true or not, but like, you hear things like that, and you just wonder how long it's going to take, where there's a full on erosion of the idea of getting an education for most guys. I mean, some guys with immense talent were always just trying to get in there to go through what they had to go through, and then get to the league. But for the majority, there's a stat, I don't remember exactly what it is, but it's something like 99% of all college athletes. This doesn't deal with football and basketball exclusively, but like 99% basically of student athletes don't end up going professional in the sport. And
Right.
so that was always a big factor in where they would go. And it would be a big reason why the schools would look at character and a guy that fit the culture, so to speak. And now, to keep up, I sense that it's going to change a little bit. And I know the football factory type schools like the Alabamas and Ohio States don't have to go down that route as much, because they're not playing catch up. But after the other schools do catch up, then what happens? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see what happens in the coming years. That's all I know. But we kind of got sidetracked from what we were talking about before. We were talking about the running game and how it's less crucial, and a lot of times it's still very important, because if you can't run the ball at all, then teams will key in on that. So it's still very important to have a solid run game. It's just not the same as it used to be. I mean, people were shocked when they saw how high both Bijan Robinson and what's your guy from Alabama there? His name's slipping me. The running back.
A couple years back.
No, the one who just went in the draft, Jameer
Oh,
Gibbs.
Jameer Gibbs.
Yeah,
Yes.
Jameer Gibbs. People were shocked by how high they went in the draft because it's like the premium that's placed on running backs in the NFL now is so much diminished.
Yeah.
But I remember when I was a kid. I'm not that old, but I'm 40, and I remember when I was a kid. It would be regular that you'd have a running back in the top 10 every year, and now it's shocking when you see a guy go in the top 15. So it's definitely
Well, let me
changing.
say, let me go out and say this. I think we need more running backs like a Bijan and a Jameer Gibbs. I mean, I miss those days like Alabama had like Glenn Coffey is one of the most underrated guys I've ever watched. I mean, he did not get enough credit for what he did. But you had like Mark Ingram and Derrick Henry at Alabama. You had uh, Todd Gurley at Georgia, Sonny Michel and Nick Chubb, and all these different running backs that have come through college football. We've gotten to this passing game, man. I want to get back to the run game so much because that is where the hard hitting action took place. It's where, um, you know, uh, I mean, would you agree with me? Like the NFL runs the ball more than college today. And there's a lot of teams that are looking to run the ball in the NFL. So college needs to get back to trying to produce these running backs so that way it can help NFL teams out. But and they are, in ways, but like you said, I mean, outside of Bijan and Jameer Gibbs in this draft this year, there wasn't really much at the running back position.
hmm Well, I think I actually like that little scat back. I don't know if that's the proper term to call him, but the guy from Kansas State, Deuce.
Deuce Vaughn, yes.
Yeah, I actually like him. I was shocked that he dropped that far because I always watched him and was amazed by how agile he was. Now I know he's tiny, but we've seen running backs like that succeed in the NFL. So I mean, you had Darren Sproles, who was also from Kansas State, and you had Warwick Dunn way back. I don't know if you really
Yeah.
remember him. That was a while back, but he was a little back. And I mean, even like a Barry Sanders wasn't huge. So I mean, you could have a. I know he was strong, but you can have a smaller running back that does well at that level. I think the size factor just scares people off. Same thing that happens with quarterbacks a lot of the time, but I think the NFL's kind of gotten over that, as evidence now with what Kyler Murray, Bryce Young, even
I
Baker
was just
Mayfield.
thinking, yeah. Yeah,
I mean,
look at Kyler Murray and his height and his weight and size. I mean the size factor in the NFL is diminishing too.
mhm. Yeah, so it'll be interesting. I mean, I know that taller quarterbacks do have an advantage with be able to see through passing lanes easier. But it's not everything. When you're a guy like Kyler Murray or Bryce Young, and you have that really great scrambling ability. I think Russell Wilson was kind of the guy who, was a game changer for that. And you could see that you could gear your offense towards that. And you don't necessarily have to stand back there in the pocket or be like a Michael Vick type. It's kind of like a hybrid mentality for the offense where, you can look for passing lanes and allow the pocket to break out and throw on the run, and we see that more and more, and I think it's becoming critical. I think it's becoming critical in college and the NFL to have that quarterback that has mobility. I mean, you
Right.
look at the majority of the quarterbacks that are successful now. There's not too many of the Tom Brady types remaining. Like, it's just the truth. So it's interesting. The game's changed a lot. I mean, it really has. So.
Yeah. And I guess in some ways I like it. Like the only complaint that I have is I wish we were more defense oriented in college football. like we always have been. I wish offenses didn't have to be the factor for a team. I mean, it's interesting. Don't get it twisted. But at the same time, I prefer hard hitting nose tackles, interceptions, forced fumbles, and pick sixes. All of that, I mean, is just special to me.
Yeah, I mean a lot of it. I think it's two things. I think it's the rule changes, but also just the offensive philosophies. Like defenses will catch up, and I think we started to see that a little bit with a team like Georgia. But the reality is, you wonder why it's such a premium is placed on offense because I mean, everybody, and I'm not discrediting Georgia, and I'm not saying anything. They were a great defense the past 2 years, but I mean, let's be real. The only time that they came up against elite offenses in both of their championship years, what ended up happening? They got torched both times, and actually the second time against Alabama, and I know that Georgia fans hate to hear this, but if JMO didn't go down and they had Mechie, they weren't winning that game. That defense cannot contain a high octane passing attack. It was proven in both games against Alabama and against Ohio State. And same thing. And if we didn't have the injuries for Ohio State, and I'm not, it's sour grapes or whatever, but if Marvin Harrison doesn't go down, do you honestly think that Georgia wins that game? I mean, I don't see it happening. We lost by 1
Probably
point.
not. Probably not.
Yeah, I mean, so the reality is that Georgia's defense was very, very good, but I mean, they were very fortunate to win both of their titles. That's the truth. Like they were very fortunate to win both of their titles. So,
and that's not like. I was just going to say real quick, it's not like we have to give them an asterisk or anything like only because blah, blah, blah happened. I mean, give them credit where it's due. They went back to back and they were still dominant. They were still elite. You can't take that away from them.
Right. Yeah. And that's not my overall point isn't that, they should be discredited. My overall point is that you look at that defense and you say, this is the best defense that's been on the field in college football in the past decade. Since Alabama had dominant defenses, maybe not decade, but last 8 or 9 years. Like this is the best, most cohesive defense. And look at what happened when they went up against really, really good offenses. So that's my point. Not that, not to discredit them, just to say that shows you how much more advanced in a lot of ways the offenses are at this point. Partially due to the rule changes and stuff like that, But I mean, the Bullard didn't get flagged; they picked it up. So you can't always say that it's all. You can't always say that it's all due to targeting being called and stuff like that, because that doesn't always hold water either. So I don't know. Offensive philosophies, I think, are just kind of they've become expanded, and but I think defenses will catch up. I think Georgia maybe left a good blueprint on how you can stop the majority of teams because they absolutely did. It's just that when they came up against teams that had truly elite quarterback and wide receiver play, they still couldn't stop them.
Well, you say they gave them a blueprint, though. I think it also showed that you still, not that it's needed today. I mean, you kind of need it because of the offenses catching up, but it shows that, yes, you can still win with an elite defense, and defense still wins you a championship.
Yeah, and it can because it's more consistent. That's the thing. So like even in those games where they came up against a good offense, if you have depth, because injuries do happen on both sides of the ball. You know what I mean? But the difference between, like, take the Ohio State Georgia game for example, the difference between Marvin Harrison getting knocked out versus the guy who knocked him out, Bullard, is that that probably wouldn't have mattered if the flag would have went the other way and Bullard would have been ejected, because whoever Georgia had behind Bullard was probably 95% as effective as he was. So I mean, you also have to have depth, and that's something that Georgia had in spades. You know what I mean? Especially in
Yeah.
2021. I mean, 2021. I mean, the defense is just stacked, and I mean, it's a testament to how they're recruiting and developing both. But I mean, so they can give the blueprint, but the reality is a lot of teams won't be able to recruit at that level and won't be able to reproduce it that way. I mean, and Kirby's also a genius, and I mean, defensively. So, but
Yeah.
it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see what happens with Georgia this year too, because I mean, everybody gives their defense a lot of credit, but the reality is that their offense, they definitely won them the game against Ohio State. Like it wasn't the defense that won that game. The defense got shredded for the majority of the game. Yeah, they held on in a few key possessions, but the truth is that if that offense wasn't as dynamic as it was, they didn't get enough credit. So it'll be interesting to see how they adapt without Monk and Bennett too. And he also
Yeah.
didn't get enough credit. So it'll be interesting. I cannot see Georgia three-peating just because I've never seen a three-peat in my life in college football. I've been watching college football since the early 90s, and I've never seen a team three-peat. But I mean, it could happen. It could happen. They certainly have the schedule for it, would you say?
Oh, the only trap game on that schedule is at Tennessee late in the year if they're not careful. But outside of that, I mean, they should run through it and get back to Atlanta for a third or fourth straight year. And I mean, they should be the kings of the East. I mean, I think now what happens in Atlanta if it's LSU, if it's Alabama, what happens there, and then you look at the college football playoff if they make it there, who they run into. That's where the three-peat run might end.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it will. I'm just saying that's the territory they got to be careful in.
Yeah, and you pointed out that game in Knoxville, that's going to be a crucial hurdle because if they and we know that that's not when Tennessee is good, that's a terrible place to play for the opposing team. Like
Right.
as Alabama saw last year, like that is not an easy place to come out from with the victory if the team is actually competent. It's one of the most imposing stadiums, so that's going to be a big hurdle because if they stumble there, then yeah, they can still get into the playoff, but then their margin for error in the SEC title game, I mean, if they do make it there, I would assume that they'll probably. I don't see Tennessee going through their schedule with fewer than 2 losses, but I think they potentially could sneak up on Georgia. Maybe not sneak up on them, but they could maybe get them. So it'll be interesting to see because if they do stumble there, then headed into Atlanta, say they do end up still making it, then then they're going to have some pressure on them finally,
Right.
because the previous 2 years headed into Atlanta, they were basically already signed, sealed, delivered to the CFP, so that would be way different for them this year. To actually feel that, and whoever's coming out of the West is going to be formidable. I mean, right now I'm not really buying LSU, not yet, because I still have to see more. Like last year, I know they looked good at times, but they also looked pretty bad at times. So, I mean, I can't see I can't see Alabama failing to get to Atlanta 2 years in a row. Like has that ever happened under Saban? I doubt it. So I don't see that. I would see the usual matchup of Alabama, Georgia in the title game, and I think it'll probably be Alabama this year, just because I don't, like I said, I think sometimes the law of averages have to work out, and yeah, Georgia still has some talent, but eventually. And also, you can't discount the fact that they're going to have that bullseye on them more than ever, and complacency too. Like those guys know, some of the younger guys that are juniors now, they know nothing but winning and being told how great they are consistently, every offseason. So they're going to have even more. they're going to have to have even more wherewithal in the coaching staff to really convince these guys, hey, you're no good. Hey, you still have to work for everything. And that's hard. I mean, I've seen it time after time with really great teams where they just don't have it. Like 2015 Ohio State, that was one of the most talented teams in college football history, probably. I mean, they returned basically everybody from the 2014 team, and it just took a few bad things to happen. A little bit of quarterback controversy and complacency, and then they ended up losing a game. So and that was all it took that year. So I think in a 12-team playoff, if they didn't have that razor thin margin for error that year, I think in a 12-team playoff they maybe would have rebounded and been able to win it all again and went back to back. But that's ifs and buts, and that wasn't the way that the CFP even looked at it back then. So it's funny though, the way the CFP kind of moved the goalposts throughout the 4-team era, because initially they were valuing conference championships so much. It took a couple years before they got over that hurdle.
Right.
And they've kind of always done that. This matters this year, and we've evolved, and now they've gotten to the point where the conference championship doesn't really matter as much now with the 4-team. So, but it'll all be done after this year, and then it truly won't matter. So I guess it doesn't. It's going to change anyways, so we won't have to complain about that.
Absolutely, man. You got a couple comments in the chat. I look at well, first off, shout out to Waylon being in here. But Mayhem Matthew says, remember Auburn beat Alabama and stopped their three-peat from happening. We go at Auburn this year. Could we see something similar? What'd you think about Auburn on the Plains with Hugh Freeze, man? Could they have that magic this year?
I mean, Auburn's always, going into the Plains it's always tough there too. I mean, strange things happen there, as you know. I mean, it's and I mean, they still do have talent, but I don't think that they have a roster to truly compete for the West this year. I think that's out of the question. I mean, I could see, and I know that they got Peyton Thorne, and they got, I think they actually got one of the receivers from Ohio State, Caleb Burton, who was probably a 5th or 6th option, but that's still probably, top 3 for most teams. So I think that they're gonna do better, and I think Hugh Freeze will probably have them in a better position. But I mean, their schedule is still so brutal, and I just don't see them having the depth to really navigate through. They play Georgia every year, right? So I mean, that's likely a loss. You got LSU and A&M, even though they struggle, they still have tons of talent. That's never easy. So my prediction for Auburn, I think 8-4 would be great if they could get to 8-4, but I think more realistically 6-6 or 7-5. But we'll have to see. I mean, you never know.
Yeah. Well, man, I guess let me double check the comments. I don't think anybody. I mean, Waylon's talking about Nebraska should have three-peated in the 90s, and Miami should have three-peated also. And there's been teams that have had their chance that couldn't even repeat. That had the chance to go back to back, and then even if they didn't have that chance, it's the big what if of college football. Like, what if they had gone back to back, and then you look at the following year with the same head coach, same roster, something like that. Could they have gone for 3? Georgia doesn't have the same roster. I mean, they returned some guys, but I would not. I would say that a three-peat is not out of the realm of possibility.
Oh no, it's definitely not. I'm just saying, if I had to bet right now, I don't think I would. I don't think I'd place a wager on them. But I mean, would I be shocked if it happened? Definitely not, because I mean, they still have a top 2 to 3 roster, no doubt. You know what I mean? Like they still
Yeah.
do. Even though they lost all those guys, they still return a lot. And I mean, they still have Brock Bowers and they still have some good receivers, so and I mean their quarterbacks that are coming back, they potentially could get better quarterback play. I know Stetson Bennett's a gamer and like I said, I think he's undervalued, but their quarterback play realistically could go up. I think more of the question with Georgia, and about it from being an Alabama fan, is this coaching turnover. Like sometimes in Ohio State it happened too. Like we had a really good defense in 2019, and then Hafley left, and it went to crap really quick. So what happens when Monken leaves? Because that's the problem. Like if you have a guy like Ryan Day, who's an offensive guru, or you have a guy like Kirby Smart, who's so good with defense, then you don't worry about as replacing a coordinator on that side of the ball as much. But I think that when you lose Monken and you're Georgia, I think that's a little bit, I'm not saying cause for panic, but I think things will change, so we'll have to see how that works out. But yeah, I mean, it's just it's not easy to do. I mean, you can say Nebraska should have three-peated in the 90s, but they didn't. You know what I mean? Miami should have three-peated in the 80s, but they didn't, or whenever, so it hasn't been done. Yeah. It hasn't been done. I don't even know who the last team who did it was. I think it was like, I don't know, maybe Oklahoma or somebody, like a long time ago. I'd have to look it up. It's very hard to do. It's very hard to do in any sport.
Right.
So, but yeah.
Well, man, I guess you got anything else for us before we call it quits on the show tonight?
No, I think we covered a lot, man. It was a good talk. Usually when I've come on here in the past, it was with like 4 other people, and we don't really get to. I like talking with a lot of people at once, but you always get sidetracked too, and you don't go in depth on the topics quite as much. So it was fun, man. Thanks for having me on.
Hey, thank you, man. As always, hum is hero, everybody. Thank you.
All right, I'll see you later, Ballard.
See you, bro. All right. I dropped the StreamYard link a couple times tonight. You've had your chances. I'll say this. I love each and every one of you guys, and it's been a good show tonight. Hope to do it again next Sunday. And don't forget, as far as this week goes, man, live streams, Touchdown Tuesdays with myself and Mayhem Matthew, and then on Friday or Saturday night, one of those two, probably even both sometimes, we get a live stream and we all get together and hang out. But I hope you guys enjoyed the show tonight. Happy Mother's Day to all the moms out there. Really appreciate it. And we can't thank moms enough for what they do in our lives. And if you haven't talked to your mom today, go talk to her and wish her a happy Mother's Day on this special day. So anyway, I love you guys. Jesus loves you. Please like, comment, and subscribe right here to Ballard Sports Media for more sports content. And until next time, folks, Ballard Sports Media checking out. I love y'all. God bless. Jesus loves you. And from an Alabama fan.
Roll down Tide.
Roll Tide, roll. I love you guys. We'll see you next time.